He's getting some of that together. Let's go ahead and do the introductions. If everybody can introduce themselves and let people know why exactly it's important for you to be here and speaking on this and where you're coming from.
Well, how's everybody doing? My name is Marcus Coleman. I'm the founder of Save Ourselves. It is a political, human, civil rights organization with a concentration in youth development and also a concentration in police terrorism. Why is it important for me to be here today? I work with many of these soldiers. My heart is beating and my lungs have breath in them so I can continue the mission of our ancestors and hopefully, and I use that word very lightly, not pass on the same ills and troubles to my children. Peace.
DJ Big X, founder of Coalition DJs. We were featured with one of the biggest DJ crews in the country. Was featured on the front cover of the Wall Street Journal. We also have a nonprofit called Young Urban Programs where we teach young black kids how to gain skills in coding, building websites, building mobile apps. And my reason for being here is because as far as the content of the music, I think a lot of what's that's going on in society right now comes from the content of the music and some of the stuff that we're putting out.
Hey, how y'all doing? Sorry about that. My name is Derek Grace. I'm a #1 selling author, entrepreneur, and an international speaker. I'm here because I'm huge on accountability. So rather than talk about what everybody else doing, I just want to focus on what the people that's complaining are going to do about their issues.
Good afternoon, I'm Jamal Bryant, pastor of New Birth Church in Stonecrest. I'm here because the black church has not been present in the conversation and the dialogue and have been missing from the front line. So I'm here for two areas. One, to repent for the absence of the black church and to renew our covenant to be viable and vocal parts of the community.
Hello all, I am Janice. I am an international opera singer and I'm also the CEO of SafeTrip, a healthcare-based ride-sharing app. And I'm here because I do believe we can use technology to do something about police brutality and have a solution.
How's everybody doing today? My name is City. I'm radio personality. Shows on Hits 92.3. One of the biggest things that I know that we face is the narrative gets changed when things happen, whether it be the victim or the subject at hand. So one of the things that our focus on is helping control the narrative using the platform of radio.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Monteria Robinson. My son was a victim of police terrorism. His name was Jamaria Robinson. He was a young man that was shot 76 times here in Atlanta, Georgia, East Point, Georgia, on August the 5th, 2016. So tomorrow is his 3-year anniversary. Still no justice.
How y'all doing? I'm Attorney Gerald Griggs. I'm the Vice President of the Atlanta chapter of the NAACP and the Vice President of the State Conference of the NAACP. And the reason why I'm here is simply because I keep seeing young men and young women that look like me gunned down by law enforcement and nothing is happening. So I made a pledge to many of the families, some of which are sitting up here, some of which are in the audience, to make sure they got justice and make sure that their sons or their daughters' names continue to reverberate in this community. And so I'm here to make sure they get justice.
What's going on, y'all? My name is Patrick Newbill, go by the Active Activist, co-founder of Black Lives Matter Greater Atlanta, former president on my own app. The reason I'm here is to try to teach y'all or give y'all some information on how you can take steps to change the laws to stop letting these cops get away with killing us.
I'm Imani Sadiq, the chairman of the Youth Youth Gun Club of Atlanta and the commanding general of the People's Protective Alliance, and we're here to talk about solutions.
Thank you so much to everybody for joining us today. Y'all hear how rounded that is?
Yes!
Somebody
Give them a round of applause, y'all.
We did our best to make sure that this was a very rounded panel, very diverse, because it's a lot of different positions. Actually, Yanaja was one of the people that made me really look more into the fact that it's a lot of different positions in the movement. And it is well ways that you can give back, even if you're a designer, if you're a lawyer, if you're an accountant, if you got a restaurant. Everybody has different things that they can do. If, you know, you like Michael Supreme, he's helping out with the kids, you know, he's helping shape our future, you know. Peaches, she's helping with debates and all different types of things. She keep me on point, like, cause I'm new to this political, all this stuff, so look, that's my spell check. So I ain't got time for people to be coming to my house. Well, actually, so I'm gonna hit her and Gerald before I even post, cause I ain't got time for y'all. So, I don't do no pledge to no American flag, and we do not hear the national black anthem or indigenous or aboriginal or melanated, as you would like to refer to it. So if everybody could stand as we play our national anthem, lift every voice and sing. DJ Rockwell. Sorry about that. Thank you so much. Everybody give it up DJ Rockwell in the building today. Thank you so much for joining. Look, he giving back. Look, different ways. So this is lift every voice and sing. I go to culture church, so you know they go on a little long sometimes. That's a light skinned version because the black version was a little bit too long. Yeah. All right, everybody can go and have a seat. A little bit of honesty, I'm always real. Alrighty, so I have something that I want to read to you guys that talks about exactly what happened to hip hop. Because how many people in the building are old enough to remember Fight the Power and As the Police, when it was back affirmations being given and positive reinforcement into our neighborhoods, and it was artistry, and it was expression. This isn't what hip hop is today. It's not what it started as. Thank you for those virtual snaps right there. So I actually, it's a lot of reasons why. It's all good. It's a lot of reasons why I started MyVoteIsHipHop. The more I started to research the prison industrial complex and different things that was going on, I seen how they used hip hop to make their money and to ruin us while controlling us and making our artists and socialites think that they're gaining something or giving something when they were actually a part of the demise. So please listen up. Hip hop music's origin was based on ancient and African knowledge of self, freedom of self-expression, and empowering while entertaining. This new wave was displayed to the world through DJing, art, lyrics, dance, freestyle battling, and spoken word. Hip-hop redefined music as well as went directly against the system that was currently set in place. For the first time, African Americans, indigenous people, were starting to control the market in their own way. Little known to those involved at the time, but these were all forms of activism and self-expression that fought against systematic oppression through the power of expression through many elements of art. I do know music is art. When you good at it, no, I'm just playing. Too bad when the elites and the government caught on to the many various musical groups whose notoriety was spreading faster than they can control them, like Public Enemy on the East Coast, screaming "Fight the Power," that's the government, and NWA on the West Coast being banned from concerts for famously coining the term "F the police." They quickly found a way to steer hip-hop music from its origin of raw and unadulterated freedom of expression through art to gangster rap. This new hip-hop labeled, but genre promoted, violent crimes against people, gangs, opposite of what they were created to be. Do your research on gangs. What they were originally created to do was to actually assist our neighborhoods. But they changed the perception of what gangs were originally meant to be. Heavy gun usage they were promoting, highly promiscuous, high promiscuity, and negative stereotypes towards minority men and women that in all actuality was used as the vehicle for the prison industrial complex or modern day slavery. That was commercially labeled as the war on drugs, but that couldn't be far from the truth, as it amplified the degradation of African Americans and indigenous people while guns and drugs were simultaneously placed into those same urban neighborhoods. Not long after, many black community leaders have been recently assassinated or drugged, including Fred Hampton, Huey P. Newton, Bob Marley, Sam Cooke, Assata Shakur. I encourage y'all to really read the history of Sam Cooke. Sam Cooke is one of the original people that started off with the independent labels, getting your own money, your masters, your publishing, different things like that. He did a lot. He was the reason why we started wearing afros. He was the first one that was like, nah, I ain't wearing my hair perm no more. But they washed his legacy away, okay? Just like they did of a lot of our people. So please do the research on Sam Cooke. More additional people like Assata Shakur, Martin Luther King, and Malcolm X. So people were ready for a revolution when hip hop first started. These criminal and racist plans were carried out through the United States criminal justice system for the specific intent of taking away any rise to power and deunifying the black communities while populating the prison industrial complex and simultaneously creating a financial cash cow for the elite. The reality of their evil intervention is that according to the NAACP, between 1980 and 2015, the number of people incarcerated in America increased from roughly 500,000 to over 2.2 million. Even still today, on average, the imprisonment rate of African Americans for drug charges is almost 6 times that of whites, regardless of background and criminal history. So I wrote that because after all my research, I had to break it down. And for anybody that's in here over 40, if you think back, it makes sense. on exactly what they did and how these things happen. So, at the end of the day, we're here today. So, we have to make changes from our perspective. I'm tired of asking, I'm tired of waiting on somebody to do something different. We just seen a boy kill 20 people and injure 40, arrested alive. Like, no scratches. Wasn't the guy from Ohio that he just did another mass shooting? Was that yesterday? Oh, today. Arrested without a scratch. Oh, they killed him. Wow. But see, the thing is that we knew both of them would have been dead if it was a black person. It would have been a question. So we're here today to break down some of these different things. And I have a special guest here today. That's actually through Mr. Derek Grace. Sure if I've already here? Okay, awesome. So I'm going to have you introduce him, and I want him to talk about the level of racism from the government and law enforcement, because it's deeply rooted in intelligence and fear. And I'm going to let them know what your father, his background, and then you can go ahead and introduce him.
How many years was it? I think 20. I can't remember how many years. He retired from the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office in Tampa, Florida. They have a Secret Service section, and that's where he ended his career in that section. The intelligence. I actually come from a long line of law enforcement. My great grandfather was one of the first African American sheriffs and Tampa Police Department officers in Tampa, Florida. So it's been in our family for a minute.
So y'all are coming from a totally different perspective, you know.
I wouldn't say, I was a 911 dispatcher for 4 years. I wouldn't say totally different perspective. Yeah. It's in my books.
Clearly I gotta buy one.
I wouldn't say totally different perspective, but
From the average black person, because I don't know any dispatchers. I don't know anybody that has a long line of law enforcement.
yeah. To be honest, I think most of it just stems from lack of education. Because once you learn their lingo and once you learn to move a certain way, you'll navigate this jungle way different. I can't say that I haven't had some of the same experiences as other people, but I shot somebody before, so I know what it's like when they pull up on you, you got a gun. But I also know how to deal with them because I took the time to study them, to research and do certain things. And I know how, like, a lot of people you get simple things, you get violated on traffic stop. That's because you willingly hop out the car and let them jump in your car and have no idea. But you'll know the rap songs, all the lyrics of future songs. So I'm big on accountability. I know a lot of my peers that got railroaded into doing X amount of years in prison because they didn't know to tell them, like, this is an unwillful search, XYZ. But, they'll tell you who got drafted, how much they getting paid, XYZ.
Right.
So, yeah, my perspective is a little different.
Yeah, it's different,
Yeah,
Derek.
it's different. I'm just big on accountability. That's all.
So you gonna introduce your dad?
We got Sam's that name, Derek Grace.
Look, I didn't know if I was gonna say Grace, and I was like, oh, okay, Derek too. That's where the two come from.
Yeah, that's where the two came from. But, yeah, right there, if you want to come up.
Senior Mr. Grace, if you could come up here and join us. You want me to bring the mic to you?
Give you a mic.
I'm gonna bring the mic to you. Are you coming up here? I'm gonna come on to you on my Oprah today. So I have a question for you because you're coming from a totally different standpoint. And I don't know if people really understand what we're up against. Would you say that it's a total set of training towards black people, or that it's different on how they handle us from the training, or do you think they're just getting out there and operating out of fear in the moment?
I would say it's the latter. It's officers out there that every day they go out, and what makes them any different from us is the power that they have and the badge and the gun they carry. But most of them are terrified when they approach anybody. Most of them are terrified just like anybody else. I've had my share of it where I stop a guy on a traffic stop and it turns into a gunfight. So then my perspective on every traffic stop has changed for the rest of my life, because all I wanted to tell this guy was, hey, slow down and take it easy. But like in any profession, you got the bad apples. And the thing is that when we focus on the bad apples, we focus on that one officer. We need to make them accountable from the top down, starting with his chief, his colonel, his major, his captain. We can't let just the focus of the investigation be, we want justice for hours from this one. I want justice from the chief's mother, if I can get it. And you see it, I don't know why we're trying to it, but we focus on one thing and not the big picture. I want to find out about the negative retention. That's what it's called, negative retention. If we keep this guy and he's been involved in any other disciplinary, we need to go get the whole agency. Stop looking at the small things. Look at the big picture.
Well, no, don't sit down, Pop, don't sit down. So, another quick question, how can we hold them more accountable, or people that are actually, on the other side? How can they hold each other more accountable? Because to me, if you do bad in basketball, football, or anything, you call that person out. We on CNN, we talking about, oh, he should have went to the left, he should have went to the right, coaches, all of that. So why do we not see more people within law enforcement or these government agencies, calling more people out, or how can we make them feel more comfortable too?
Sure, I can interject real quick. One thing I learned with being a dispatcher, it's a fraternity and a brotherhood. So I'm gonna be real with you, we gotta remove the whole them calling each other out anyway. It's a game. And just like we believe in don't rat, you don't put your brother up, they get crucified, they're not gonna do the same. So that's why I say, like, we just gotta look in the mirror and be like, what we gonna put in place to make sure they held accountable? Because like, nobody ever go to the mob boss and be like, you gonna turn a little Benny over, he kills. We're not doing none of that. So that whole system is based off their rules and their principles. I'm not gonna hang my brother for nobody, no matter what he did. And you gotta think, like, it's a fraternity, they moving with the same mentality.
I have a comment too. I agree too that they are a gang authorized by the U.S. government to kill us, all grown black kids. My hairstylist is a former police officer, and she said when Trayvon Martin was killed, she said, well, why was he out going to the store at that time of night? She said she just started throwing around a lot of questions, and she said she had to stop and think about it. Wait, I got a black son too. That could have been my son. And so she said it all went back to training. And she said all the videos that she watched while she was in the academy, it was all of black people committing the crimes. Yeah. She said that's why, black police officers, when they approach us, they're more aggressive. Yesterday I was in the mall, I saw that 4 of my, I called them my tribe, that's in the movement along with me and my family and several community activists. But we were in Lenox Mall yesterday, and we did a protest, in Lenox Mall yesterday. And 2 weeks prior to that, we did one at the Mall of Georgia in Gwinnett County. They did not bother us. They just told us disperse. But yesterday in Lenox Mall, it was all black police officers. They were very aggressive. They was pulling us. They was snatching us. 4 people was arrested. But when we were in Gwinnett Place Mall, which was all white, 2 weeks prior, we did the same protest. We was not bothered. They just asked us, could you all please leave the mall? And we did so. But going back to my hairstylist, she said that 95% of the videos that they watched while they were in the academy, it was all black people committing the crimes over and over. It didn't show anything of white people or committing crimes against. That's why when they approach white people, they say, put the gun down, sir, 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 sir. But when they see us, they kill us. So I just kind of want to add that.
Have you seen that in your training, Dr. Grace? Derek Grace too? Have you seen that in your training?
Really, I can't remember it like that. I've been gone for quite some time. I've been gone from my agency for quite some time. But there were incidents that raised eyebrows, and there were people that we had what we called our black law enforcement liaison, who actually intervened and spoke up. What the outcome was, I don't know, because over time, as we always do, the longer it drags out, we tend to forget, or we let it go. We just need somebody or some people to make it a constant effort to keep reminding them this hasn't been resolved time and time again. But as far as the videos, I mean, honestly, I couldn't tell you what video
I was commenting on it. I did. Me comment to especially the spot in this country pretty much. And that's why I didn't want to get on that damn camera. I also went to work for Homeland Security training at their academy for a year. Yes, all the videos are black. And look, I don't, Shar already knows that I didn't want to do this because I don't like being on stage. So if we're gonna talk about solutions, if we're gonna talk about what's really going on, then I'll stay up here and we talk about this shit. But if we're just gonna sit up here and talk about what happened and why do we think it's happening, everybody in this room know why it's happening. He know why it's happening. He know why it's happening. Everybody in this room know why it's happening. There's only gonna be one way that we stop people from doing what they do to us, is to make them fearful of doing shit to us. Y'all can go to legislation, y'all can go to the same people that's doing it to police and coons like these John Lewis and the rest of these coons. Y'all can keep on spinning y'all wheels and getting the same results, or we can hit back and make them scared, either turn up and go all out war with us, or leave us the hell alone. That's the only way to do that. We can come up with all our boule solutions and all this. We need to go talk to so-and-so. We need to pass this legislation. Y'all wonder why these hunkies don't get arrested when they kill us? Because that's they people doing it. I'm not going to arrest this man if he take out one of my enemies. What y'all expect this man to do? This man is going to congratulate. This man is going to promote when they take out the enemy. This man is going to twist the story on their media when they take out the enemy. So as long as y'all keep on depending on their politics, their news, their legislation, their all that, we're going to be in this same position. I'm here to tell y'all we don't have to. I'm here to tell y'all they can die too.
And we're gonna get to his position. Y'all actually skipped ahead on some of the stuff that like I said, we have a diverse panel today, because honestly, I'm tired of doing the same stuff that Malcolm and Martin was doing too. And so that's why we're here. I only asked him that question because I know that he's coming from a different perspective, but we're not here to do what's already been done. We're here to do something different. Before we go, actually, y'all done already went into this, so Faith, we're gonna come back to you in not too long. But that was actually the next thing. What you just went into, Kamani, was actually no, it's okay. That was actually literally our next bulletin point, is how to tackle police brutality from different angles. So we're gonna go to different people in the panelists, because as we spoke on earlier, everybody has a different way of fighting this. And while I agree with you that at some point will have to happen, that's not the only thing that's gonna do it. We have to hit them from many different angles. They are hitting us from television, from media, from radio, from the foods, from the water, from the way they do our credit scores, from the way you get a home. So it's not one solution. It's why we're here today. It's many different solutions. So it's gonna come from many different angles. So first, I wanna go to Attorney Griggs. What is your top, and everybody please keep your comments 2 minutes. We're already behind schedule, it's 3:15. So what is your idea of tackling police brutality from your angle and others that do what you do?
Well, my angle is addressed it from the law. And as the only person on the stage who was arrested and indicted police officers for violating the law, I believe the law is still the proper vehicle. If we were to arm ourselves, we would be feeding into a narrative that I don't think our community is prepared for at this point. I believe in the right to self-defense. Let's get that straight. I believe in the Second Amendment. I believe in the Fourth Amendment. But I also believe in making sure we have the pertinent information to make sure our community is prepared and taken care of. And that's why we have to hold our elected officials accountable. I'm in the process of holding the mayor accountable, in the process of holding Congress people accountable, in multiple cases. And again, speaking as the only person on this stage, I sent a couple to prison, first time ever in the state of Georgia, the police officer convicted of murder in Gregory Towns case, and he's doing a life sentence. If you put the right pressure on district attorneys, on judges, on governors, you will see change. I do agree that some of our older elected individuals have lost the teeth for the fight, but I think if we light a fire under them and we light a fire under the community, we can address this problem, because the legal method of addressing the problem is the appropriate vehicle that our community is prepared for at this point.
This goes to community after this, the same question to Marcus Coleman.
Well, Attorney Griggs, I don't got a couple arrested myself, so
That's
I
true.
don't want
I
to
forgot. You were with me on those.
It's enough of them for all of us. True that. Before even speaking, I operate as lead organizer and spokesperson for the Kendrick Johnson family, the young man found rolled up in the wrestling mat down in Valdosta, Ariston Waiters in Union City, baby boo-boo victim of militarized police no-knock warrant raid, botched drug raid, busting open a 19-month-old toddler's face and chest. At that point in time, led the charge in getting a multi-jurisdictional drug task force disbanded. Also, when it came to the baby boo-boo case, federal charges against a certain sheriff. I take this shit so personal. I got a lot of respect for the brother on the end and his position, and even the soldiers that are outlined in this building. This ain't a monolithic fight. What that brother spoke about is definitely needed, but right here in ATL, where I'm from, College Park, city of South Fulton, there's a line, while we ranting about gas, my nigga, they made them gas. They got some shit that'll blow out our backs from where they stay at. If we don't take that position, which is a necessary position, we gotta train. Once we sew up the block and have this war that at this point in time there ain't enough soldiers, we can build them, but then we can't even grow a damn tomato, right? You can't farm and take care of yourself. These are things I'm saying we need to do. So I'm not disagreeing with the brother, but you're also talking to someone in my position that's also co-authored legislation, changing the hit and run legislations here. Don't get me wrong. I'm gonna end with this. Don't get me wrong. I feel what the brother has said and how many people feel. You keep knocking your head up against a brick wall. You got to change the laws in order to break the immunity that police officers have, which is why the brother Robert Smith, that got a lot of pub for giving the commencement speech at Morehouse, and he took care of all of the, everybody remember that, right? What folks don't know, and this is my first time making this public, Robert Smith is working along with a good sister of mine, attorney out of San Francisco. There's one meeting that has taken place a year prior to that commencement speech. It is a group of attorneys from across the nation that have been selected, along with a group of activists that are across the nation. And we are currently in the process of drafting counter legislation on the Supreme Court level to totally eradicate the immunity that police officers give, and then that way they ask can go to jail without this high bar that's set.
Well, I want to ask you though, how do you think DJs can give back or support the movement? Because y'all are a big part. Y'all have a lot of influence.
I think from a DJ perspective, from a music perspective, I think a lot of the ways on the content and some of the stuff that we put out, and us valuing ourselves as human beings and as people, I think that's the first step we have to take as black men and black women. We have to stop allowing some of the stuff that's coming out into our homes. I mean, when you talk about, and I'm guilty of it because I promoted a lot of it, but at the same time, if a young man is on a record talking about he'll blow another black man's head off, why would anybody respect that? If I'm white and he talking about he'll blow his own brother's head off, I'll take the same liberty to do the same thing, because There's no value in either one of those lives. So first, like he said, when we say we have to be accountable, we have to be accountable for also the things that we do. So we can't point the finger all the time. We got to be accountable for being black men and black women. And a lot of the things that we are allowing into our home, we know, I'm 48 years old. I know when I was coming up, I grew up in the 70s, a lot of that stuff wouldn't even be allowed in the home. Now we freely allow sexual content, gang talk, all this nonsense into the home. But what we first, like I said, from a DJ, from a music standpoint, I think we have to first make a positive change to change the music and some of the things that we allow to come out. And I think it started with us as far as what we will allow into our homes.
In my opinion, America is built off entrepreneurship and violence. So rather than Black Friday shop, y'all just get together collectively and start buying surety bonds that back these businesses and attack them that way if you really want to make some noise. And then another thing too, it's funny that she mentioned BET, because I remember the first time I posted my daughter, because I'm proactive about teaching my children about guns. They made an article and said I was a radical dad. So definitely the entities that we push and we stand behind, we gotta hold them accountable too. Like bro was talking about the narrative, because they painted that narrative of me two to three years ago. But when these random stories begin shot up these days, I'm the person they DM or they call and go, you know, what should we do, X, Y, Z? And I've been teaching my daughter since she was 3 and my son since he was 5. But I was also crucified as like, you know, radical, crazy dad, bucking the school system, blah, blah, blah. So we definitely, we gotta hold the people whom which we look to for the news and the narrative accountable as well.
It's a critical moment. First, let me thank both of these sisters for bringing us together for a much needed and overdue conversation. 1969, J. Edgar Hoover said that the most dangerous threat to democracy was the Black Panther Party. And when he made that statement, the Black Panther Party only had 300 paid members in Oakland. If you just think in DeKalb County that there are 24 churches that have over 2,000 members, but the FBI doesn't know they exist. And the reason why they don't know that they exist is because they are no threat to what democracy represents. The question you've got to ask is, why were they a threat? To go to my brother's response is, because they were giving not a commiseration of what the problem was, but executing the solution without grants or corporate funding. So they did several things that churches should be doing. Number one is policing the police. Is that we've got to be an incubator to be eyes. We have something that they didn't have in 1969, which is cell phones. The second thing is Oakland is a inner city, not a rural area, but to my brother's point, they operated through farming. And said in order for us to be able to operate, we got to grow our own vegetation, fruits, and make sure that we have a healthy diet. Third is they understood that Malcolm X was correct, that if you leave your children to be educated by their oppressors, they'll be educated slaves. And so if we leave our children to only learn Black history in Black History Month, then they will only be 28% of a Negro and not 100% of who they're supposed to be. They operated under their constitutional amendment of open carry. So when they went to court, they went carrying arms that the same rednecks in Georgia operate under, is that this is our constitutional right. And so we've got to ask ourselves, as we go into this next election cycle, is this just going to be the same massage of the issues that we've ever heard before? Or are we going to hold these 20 candidates into accountability, or open up another party that addresses what our issues are? The reality is for us on this Sunday is that the Republicans cater to the wealthy, the Democrats cater to the middle class, and nobody addresses the poor. And so if we don't have an agenda of Marcus Garvey to say, up you mighty people, accomplish what you will, then we're going to be in the same merry-go-round, and our children will inherit this same dialogue and the same conversation with no executable points. White supremacy is empowered because of Donald Trump, but our grassroots organizations feel neglected from those who claim to be in leadership, because we've got to requalify leadership is not PR. Real leadership is production. And so we can't allow our leaders to be chosen by who we see on TV, but who do we see in the community?
Can I say that real quick? Hold on. Can I say that real quick?
Thank you for that. I personally, and thank you for being here, first of all, because I am one of the people that have asked many times, where are the mega pastors? And I've also seen a lot of pastors promoting these political candidates, but then don't call them out when they don't do what they were put in office to do. What can we do, how can we get the churches more involved in the community outside of just like the back to school events and different things? Because in my opinion, I feel like, you know, it should be more things surrounded around, even if the church is used as like a homeless center, or if it's used as like a shelter center, or if it's used as for people to come and get food or different jobs. Like, how can we have the church more involved in the community day to day, not just after something happens? I think that we're too reactive after things happen, and I think that we have to be more proactive day to day, regardless of if something happens, because that way we have these things set in place.
Let me first say, you have no idea the level of shame and embarrassment I had from your post yesterday. Shaw posted yesterday, look, we got a pastor coming to the panel. And I was embarrassed because it was a glaring indictment of how far the black church has been, that we got to celebrate where we're supposed to be. Group 100, which is our generation's Ebony magazine, put out the 100 most influential people in Black America. And for the last 4 years, there's not been a pastor on the list, which suggests that something is wrong. Part of the problem is the black church does not know how to support what it doesn't lead. My brother down Kamani was a part of Black Lives Matter. The conflict is Black Lives Matter is the very first civil rights movement where a preacher wasn't the leader, or a religious figure wasn't the leader. And so we're trying to recalibrate, because the black preacher only traditionally knows how to step up for the press conference.
I mean, honestly, that's what I see.
Yes.
And I'm not, and let me say this, I'm not anti-church at all, I'm not anti-religious.
I'm saying it to you as a preacher.
Yeah, I grew up, like, my family is over the church, so I personally have seen too much of one thing being said on the pulpit and then another thing being practiced. So I'm not anti-church, but I definitely have lost my faith in the church system, especially in the community. You know, so we got to get back to that. Like, we gonna get to that, because we gotta start. I'm gonna say it anyway right now. We gotta start calling out these people that is eating off the community out for when we need help. If we could, I'm from Flint, Michigan. The thing is that everybody be concerned about. Everybody think, oh no, snitching is a code. This and that. Ain't nobody being a damn code. Where I'm from, you snitch on this person who. It's not just them I'm worried about. I'm worried about their minions. I'm worried about the people that want to be them. I'm worried about their underlings. I'm worried about the fact that they know where I stay, where my people stay. The police can't protect us. They're not going to. And then in my hometown, it takes the police 2.5 hours to get there. So if you ain't got no protection, you out of here. So, like, I have to stand from where Kamani is speaking from, because I can't. Atlanta is a lot different. You know what I'm saying? There's no shade to the hoods out here, but when I go to the hoods here, it's not the same as the type of hoods that's in Flint, Michigan. You know you in the hood before you even get there. Somebody had to tell me I was in the projects one time. I'm like, oh, okay. The windows look clean. You know what I'm saying? But, like, I'm just being honest.
To add to it, I think that there's a disconnect if we only hold preachers accountable.
Oh, no, I'm talking about drug dealers, everybody, yeah.
I understand. What I'm saying to you, if we are in Atlanta is the quote New Harlem. And it was black architects that built the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. But we're not holding them into accountability. When we talk about how it is that much of Morris Brown has been fostered off, and we're not holding that into accountability. When we talk about the gentrification that is happening under our permissive will, selling off our grandparents' homes, and nobody is holding them into accountability. And so something has to be said about the new Negro who now plays golf and is now absent from the real green. And so if we're not really doing economic development, it's not just preachers, because this is the largest generation of black people who don't go to church, who have education and access to capital. And so I think all of us have got to be held to accountable, especially for the emerging black middle class who has convenient amnesia and feels as if this is no longer my responsibility, and the church can't operate as if it's just a Red Cross. So being in the movement is not just giving out sandwiches. But being in the movement is understanding we got a responsibility to stand in the gap. Yesterday, and I'll pass to our sister, I'm from Baltimore, for those who don't know me. I've been here for 7 months. And yesterday we did a back to school drive. And I said to our church, everybody's giving out backpacks, but nobody is bullied for backpacks. Nobody has low self-esteem about backpacks. So let's give out shoes. So we gave out yesterday at New Birth, DeKalb County, 5,000 pairs of shoes. And brand new shoes. And our people were there. We didn't open till 10, but they were there at 6 a.m. They had the discipline and the focus to make sure that their children are being taken care of. And let me say that the people who came didn't come on MARTA. They came in cars. And so we've got to deal with the new face of poverty is what Cornell West calls the working poor. So what happens in our community when it is you got a bachelor's from Clark, you got a leased BMW, you got a townhouse in Alpharetta, and still can't make the bills meet. Because we're not talking about real economic achievement, we're talking about capitalistic accoutrements. What does success look like, but not what it is.
And that's why, that's one of the major reasons why it was important for me to have Derek Grace on this panel, because I don't know too many people. We all know that Nipsey was trying to teach people to buy back the block, but I don't know too many people outside of Derek that is teaching that at a mass level on how to not only, set money aside, but build generational wealth for the people around you. So we're gonna come back to that, and we're gonna have Janice speak, and then we're gonna have a performance by Faith, and then we're gonna come back and get started with City.
From a tech standpoint, just from my experience back in December 2015, I created an app called the Justice Now app. And the app was to end police brutality. It was a video recording app that was backed by attorneys. I had attorneys signed up all across the United States in different districts. So that when someone gets pulled over by the cops, they just hold up their phone, press a button, and there's a live attorney there to talk directly with the police. This app was supposed to launch on Christmas, December 2015. My door got kicked in before the app launched. And it scared me because I didn't have anyone protecting me. I didn't have a militia. And so I had to run to my parents for protection. And all I had was my mom and my dad and his rifles if someone was trying to take me out. And so that scared me so much that it backed me away from that app concept. And that is the only app concept that I've ever created that I welcome somebody to steal and create. But whoever steals the app and creates it, or if I have a militia to protect me, I'll recreate it. They need to be protected, just like all the other activists. And to Kamani, I agree with you 100%. And what you said is the reason that I backed away from activism, because I feel like we have to have direct solutions. And there can be two militias, like you said. We need people fighting. That there's just, people need to feel afraid. People need to know that if I come at you, there will be consequences. And that's period. And so if we have a militia, there can be two militias, because we may not be ready to, gather people to start a militia that goes around and protects everybody. But like I was telling my sister Shar briefly, we can also have a spiritual militia. Absolutely. If we think about the wars, the Haitian Revolution was not the only war that was won from a spiritual aspect. That's right. There were also wars fought here on this land that was won from a spiritual aspect. So why aren't we taking, perhaps, creating a spiritual militia into consideration? There are a lot of, I don't care what you call it. You can call it voodoo, you can call it spiritual warfare, you can call it hoodoo, roots, whatever you want to call it. We need to take that into consideration because that is a power that we hold that we just don't use because for some reason we've been programmed to not use it. You know, but I feel like we need to take that into consideration immediately, and I think I don't want to come out and say this, but I'm going to say it. I'm inclined to believe that there are a group of people that have already started this sort of militia because there has been an uptick of suicide amongst police officers. Yep. And I believe that's a spiritual thing. I believe that perhaps this spiritual militia has already started. We just collectively have not, joined in. So that's my take.
You know what I want to say? I want to first acknowledge Denise and Derek. When I read about you, about this app, has anyone seen The Great Hack yet on Netflix? 1, 2. I am, and my son, of course. I'm putting everyone on homework. Watch it on Netflix. It's called The Great Hack. We are fighting something much bigger than us. And when we talk about systems, and shout out to Nipsey Hussle because I knew Nipsey as well, Derek, and so I was just as hurt. But what Nipsey was doing before he was murdered was also getting our young people and getting our people into tech and to learn about. So when we talk about solutions and apps and all these things, we have to build systems. As they have created and stole our land and our world here that we physically see, they're doing that now in cyber world. They're creating a world that they can also control. So we have turned into responders or reactors. We react every time they act. But they don't care how we react. They just act. So we have to be able to, we have to just act and not care how they react. So for you all, and I don't want what they said to go by lightly in regards to solutions, because as we are going into tomorrow in this generation that's here, tech is going to control our elections, our world, everything. Tech actually got Trump into presidency. Every single time that you are getting some type of emotional feel and everything, when you're on your news feed, they're already looking at your personality. They're already knowing how you're going to feel, how you're going to vote. And it's not just here in America, but it's all over. So I want you to restart that app. You have, and I'm starting a tech revolutionary committee because we need tech revolutionaries in order for us to create our own system and our own world and get above and ahead. And you can go to careerkarma.com and you can start learning tech and how to code for free. That's an organization that I'm working in partnership with. But what you're doing is amazing, and you should continue to do that, because that right there is going to be able to combat police terrorism, white supremacy, and even the governments that are governing us is tech.
It stopped it in its tracks. That's right. And when I sat back and thought about it, I understood why they kicked Missouri. They did not want that. The only thing that the police fear is an attorney right in their face. So imagine that. Nobody's going to pull you out of the car if now you're talking to my attorney.
And everything is by electronics and tech, from the gun to everything is all. They're now the mayor. What was it that we saw, Grace, when we went to City Hall for Oscar Kane? The mayor said, she said, I'm trying to take the human out of the police officer. I said, so she's building RoboCops? Yes. That's exactly where they're moving towards, is robo-cops. Everything we see in the movies is not an illusion, it's not fantasy, and they always try to take it and put it into this new world. Watch The Great Hack on Netflix.
So before we go any further, because for sake of time, we're gonna get to a performance, and then when we come back, I'm gonna have City and Patrick talk, and then we're gonna go on to the next talking point, because we did hear from Monterio for a second earlier, as well as Grace in the beginning. But for the sake of time, because before we leave here, we have to get to the solutions. And before we leave, Monterio, I want you to talk to them about how, about more things that are effective coming from the family members of someone who is slain. Because also, y'all, a lot of reasons why they get away with this stuff is because we let these things happen when we don't say nothing. We let the no snitching code lead over to the police and all this different stuff, and we just sit back and we don't say nothing. Y'all wouldn't believe how many families of police killings and brutality that I've talked to where people's like, nah, I don't want to talk about it. No, I don't want that type of trouble. I'm like, well, you not talking about it is creating more trouble and allowing them to think that it's okay and that they're gonna get away with this. That's exactly what you're doing. So people have to stand up too. Before we go any further, because I gotta mix some youth up in here. I know a young lady by the name of Faith who is very, very powerful. I want y'all to hear the spoken word about what's going on from the youth perspective. Without any further ado,
18 years
I'd like to
old.
introduce Faith to the stage.
So just a little about me. I'm a 2 times published author and spoken word artist, and this piece is an original piece. It's titled America as I Know It. We're supposed to be fighting. We're supposed to be fighting poverty, not starting wars. Fighting against gun violence, not pulling the trigger. Fighting against police brutality when they're supposed to protect us, but instead killing us. We're robbing our sisters and brothers for $20, throwing our left way behind bars. Peter will rob Bob, Bob will rob Peter. Such a hopeless generation. Loyalty is now a non-existent word. Friendships last only as far as tomorrow. Strangers will treat you better than family. And we'll walk by someone and show no empathy. When reality is yes. Kids are hiding behind closed doors, keeping secrets. Billy down the street getting secretly molested, afraid to tell someone because his molester told him, if you do so, you'll be punished. So he kept his mouth shut because he didn't want to suffer more than he did. But this is America, as I know it. And so they think suicide is better than getting bullied. That even our children's hearts have turned cold. I often wonder, who can I trust? Who can I turn to? Young black boys and girls are still getting unfairly incarcerated. Their minds so saturated with negativity. Can't even dream of a future of peace, hope, love, and positivity. Something we lack indefinitely. Racism is still occurring. And we wonder why we all just can't get along. Still feels like we're separate but not equal. Blacks are still treated like we have no freedom. We're very much hated. When will we be appreciated? Social media is a big issue. A fake representation of our imagination. Females dumbing themselves down, the crown tipping and slipping to the ground it goes, and who knows how far deep down they'll go. And the biggest thing I see amongst youth is the fact that I see a 6-year-old acting like a 16-year-old. Like, what's really up with that to more than your age? Living life in so much rage. Feeling like they're in a cage, popping pills and all dope, like a deer caught in the headlights without hope. But this is America, as I know it. They say they come in our neighborhood to make it better. But this, or I didn't forget to mention, kids are growing up inside single-parent households. It takes a village to raise a baby. It takes 2 people so everything can be equal. Mama dragging babies, father acting like maybe I'll take care of my kids whenever I feel like it. Shit. But this is America, as I know it. They say they come in our neighborhood to make it better. But we all know it's about that cheddar. Getting the black folks out who've been there since day one. Saying it's to boost the economy. I'm not crazy, son. How is it boosting the economy when our grandmas and grandpas can no longer stay there? It's only for white Americans in their hell. We call it gentrification, pushing our people out to different locations. But this is America, as I know it. And I can go on and on about America, how I know it to be. But is this really America? Home of the brave, the proud, the free or a made-up world that resulted in a twisted catastrophe.
Back to what we can do from our different positions to fight this problem. Patrick, let me hear from you.
Okay, so I agree with a lot of what has already been said on stage. When I first got out of the Navy, I stepped into my activism because of learning what happened to Fred Hampton and the Black Panthers and Huey P. Newton. So those are my heroes. That's who I look to try to model myself after, and I fall short. But that is who I look to as people that had the blueprint. And you look at these people that detract from us, and they have all these talking points, and oh, well, what about Chicago? What about Oakland? Well, the people that was trying to make everything better, you killed them. If those people were still alive, we cannot say that those cities would still be, you know, in the conditions that they are in today. But all that to say, I started out I was over here. This is all I was talking about. But as I got out here in the streets, I saw that my people were not there. I'm ready for that. I'm trained. The average black person, you know, in our urban areas, y'all not ready for that. So we have to, unfortunately, take those baby steps. Once we have exhausted all the legal options, because that's just how we are. We want to try to give everything a chance. So when we've done everything we can, and we see that either we gonna get results or we not, but we gonna try to do it by the book. And then only then, when y'all see, you know, how far we get, y'all gonna decide if it's time to get radical or not. But until then, I'm gonna play by society's rules, and we're gonna try to change these laws and get these immunities stripping away, and we just gonna see what happens.
We're gonna let city speak. I gotta be honest, I feel like we're already there, and which is why I'm, you know, I don't know, I'm tired of voting. I'm tired of walking in the streets. And there's nothing against that. I think that, like I said, there's different ways and effects in it. But it's definitely time for action. I wanna hear from city, and then we're gonna come back.
A few things, real quick. Recently, for me, I'm like, I guess, out of a lot of the activists in the community, I'm one of the radical ones. I'm the one that pushes the envelope. Like, there's no fear for me. So I totally agree with my brother Kamani was saying. And I used to have those conversations. And Attorney Griggs would tell you, people used to be like, no, don't talk like that. So then I had to sit back and do some different type of research on how we can impact or how we can make a different energy. Now, it's something that I realized where, why can't all these actions go on at one time? Like, why do we have to focus on one action? Why can't Kamani do what he do? Why can't Pat do what he do? Why can't Shar do what he do? See, the thing is, we focus on one solution, and the enemy that we're focusing on knows how we move, so they're already reacting when we're already moving forward. So when we're hitting this thing, this punch, imagine if a punching bag got hit from every angle, how long would it stay up on that chain? So some of the things that we do, we actually did this last week, is we made wanted posters. And it's something that I do because when I speak with a lot of these mothers, I can't relate to the pain or the uncomfortableness that they feel. So my goal is to go out for these officers that do these murders, well, I call them police terrorism. And we literally have their faces on wanted posters for murder. And we pass these flyers out in the community. We pass them out. We're like, this week we're going to their churches. We're putting them on their car. We're going to their community. Wow. Because you come into our community and you think you can go home and just chill. And one of the biggest issues that we have had is for people to walk with that. So, you know, when we start pushing the envelope, our own people be like, man, you tripping. But we're tripping until you need us. So I knock nobody's way of action. I said, hell, do it all at the same damn time.
All right, thank you, Sidney. Okay, so we're about to get to the solution portion of this. But before we get there, hold on one second. I got you. Gotta go to the audience real quick.
I want to say something to what you said as well as what Sidney said. I too am one of the mothers. My son is James Benjamin. And as to what Sidney just said, he has been underlying support of my mission for my son. And as to what you were speaking of, as to saying that you tired of the talk and that the families don't want to speak to you, that has never been an issue with me. And yes, we first met when we had a family gathering. But when it comes to certain directions, as to what City just says, I'm one of those mothers that I don't allow all of what my actions and movements are as to how I'm going to pursue justice for my son. And with me at the stages that I am, at one point, I did reach out asking for local support, community, church, all the above, and there was an absence where, as I explained, my attorneys fly people in from out of town. Whereas now, through the phases of what I went through with my case, to say that you're tired, to say that no one is doing anything, no one in the community is doing anything, to reflect on what she said as far as the spiritual warfare. I went through the stages of my son's case, not having a dime, still at the point living that person when y'all speak of poverty from paycheck to paycheck, not even knowing when the next day gonna come, having that prayer in the middle of the night, 3 o'clock, saying, God, I'm at a stage of my case going to the Supreme Court Justice, having to be told that I gotta have the money for the bills to do the dockets and the books, and not having it, and yet an attorney from Chicago tells me he's willing to step in to do everything. So with the spiritual warfare, as well as the activism of what City has been doing, publicizing the officer who killed my son, 6 months after the district attorney overturned the indictment from the jury, promoted to chief, and he is on that very flyer that City has been passing around. So when looking at the spiritual warfare of it, as well as the spiritual warfare of it, as well as being tired, and again, I did not know you then, but at that time, I didn't know who to talk to. And for me, it will be 7 years that I'm still seeking justice. And to have the different phases that I've been into, God has blessed me in a way that, yet I'm having opportunities now that I've been going places in these last few months, not having no more than $20 or $30 in my pocket, but by His grace, I'm blessed. I'm truly blessed. So in support of Monterey as well, we have now, began a unity of the families and mothers that at the same time, everything of what's being discussed needs to be done, but I'm also voicing that, like City said, you can't always let everybody know what you're doing because they know how to come at you, and when they come at you, that's when everything fall apart. So I will say, as far as for me, the spiritual side, that has been my biggest comforter in the midst of all, even in the midst of coming here today, 3 o'clock this morning, being woke up to see how, wanting to be here, as well as, on the following week, going with Yanajwa to her native land. So at the same time, it's just hearing all of this, it is a good thing, and I'm just going to speak on the behalf of the spiritual side, along with the not letting your presence known.
And if I could just really quickly, Stephen, Monty's son, her oldest son, I'll be honest with you, I've been going to these for 8 years. Before my brother was murdered by a police officer, I've been very active as an activist, and I've taken the back row seat, just like she said, because of the terrorism from the police. Coincidentally, I had cops knocking on my door at 2:45 in the morning, and I was looking down the barrel of 2 shotguns and 3 pistols, trying to figure out why they just mistakenly found my door to be the one to knock on after getting a police report done on a district attorney, not police report, a news report done on a district attorney about my brother's case. So for me, I hear a lot of solutions that are theorized, but I'll be honest with you, I don't think we need any more theories. Everybody knows what the solution is. Like you said, we all could be attacking on every front. Now here's my problem. We know what needs to be done. We have the minds and the leadership here, but no one's coming. And I'll tell you why. Because we sit around and we talk about and theorize different solutions. Now, what you're saying on one hand, we need to give them consequences to change their behavior. Where can people find you for that protection? Because I might not know how to use an M16,
but you do. You can stand in my door and make sure them guys don't shoot me at 2:45 in the morning. Whereas we got on the other hand, the man has Navy SEAL training. Where is that at? You understand what to say to the officers. That app, we need that app. When do we come together, make a decision on what we're gonna do and actually do it? Well, preferably without the cameras, I'll be honest with you. Because like I said, we don't want them to know what our plan. We don't tell the devil our plan and expect God to save us after they get it.
Absolutely agree with both of y'all. And to your point, I just want to address the fact that I didn't say that nobody would talk to me. I was speaking to the fact that it is a lot of people that is scared to speak out the way that some do. It's a lot of people, no, it's okay. But that's the thing though, it's a lot of people who are scared to speak out about it. It's rarer than what y'all think for families to actually stand up and fight back against police brutality. It's actually a lot rarer than what y'all think. FYI, we're not giving away all of the solutions today. It is cameras here. But we have to get these conversations. I'm not about just talking and sitting around. I got these people here because all of these people up here is about action.
That's right.
And the whole purpose of us coming up here today, and I'm gonna let y'all know later on how, you can join and help and do your own thing. But I brought them here to let people know, because the thing is yes, we absolutely want more action, but everybody's action is not on the streets or loudly. Some people move silently. It gotta be different levels. We gotta make it easier for people to join in the fight at a very minimal level, at a medium level, and at a large scale. Because everybody is gonna do it differently. To get to this, okay, y'all. To be honest though, at the end of the day, we have to not to speak on what Pastor Jamal Bryant was speaking on earlier. I think we need to hold, like I said, I feel like we need to hold everybody that's eating off of the community accountable. Period. We spending money with you every day. These people at these stores, restaurants, businesses, lawyers, doesn't matter. We're spending money with these people every single day, right? We're patronizing them, but then when something happens, we don't hear from them. Why can't these be? I feel like every business that's benefiting, first of all, we need to be pouring back into our own neighborhoods. But y'all also have to think about the fact that some of them businesses feel like you dropping trash in front of their store, you know what I mean? You peeing on the side of the building, you know what I'm saying? They feel like they're disrespected too, so it does go both ways, and I have to speak on that because I'm a business owner. So it does go both ways. But I feel like from the drug dealers, to the pastors, to the business owners, to the restaurant owners, it's something you can do to give back. Even if it's just a free haircut for the kids in the neighborhood that don't have money once a month. Whether it's a free meal for the homeless, or you taking your leftovers that you're going to throw away anyway and leaving them for the homeless in boxes on the side. You know what I mean? It's different things that we can do to assist different people. But before we go any further,
We gotta let our brother talk.
sis, I got sis. I'm leading into that's what we're talking about right here.
All right.
Gee. So, the thing is that in addition to taking care of our own, we have to take care of our own. And one of the biggest reasons why I went back and forth with Kamani for weeks on him being on here is because I grew up with a block party. If I got in trouble with my neighbors, my mama knew. We had a block watch party every week. I knew what people was on schedule on what days. I haven't seen that. The first I heard of that is when I met Kamani. Now, I've been wanting to do this with MyVoteIsHipHop for a minute, y'all, but I don't know how to do that. You know what I mean? I don't know how. So it's important for us to not just try to do everything on our own, but reach out to the LeBron in that field. Reach out to the LeBron in that field. He has experience. So I want to hear from him about some basic steps on how we can start policing our own.
I'm gonna be honest with y'all, man. It's gonna take more than 2 minutes.
Oh no, you got more than 2 minutes. This is a whole segment right here. This is what we're here for.
We offer, man, I got asymmetrical warfare artists. I got all kinds of guys, veterans, in my organization that at one point we pushed it out that we're training for free. I'm talking about teaching you how not even to know anything about a gun, from that to breaking it down, cleaning it, putting it back together, understanding the maximum effective range, shooting from the isosceles, the weaver, weak hand, strong hand, shooting on the move. We gave all of this training for free. Wow. I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna be 100, man. I don't care who don't like it. Black folks don't want nothing but excuses. Right. Period. When you put that training out there, you tell everybody and you tell them this weekend we're gonna be offering all this training for free. Don't nobody show up. Right. Because all we want to do is sit back and we want the same people that's doing it to us to fix it. If this is my woman and we riding down the street and they pull us over and they get to snatching her out the car talking about she look like Lady Heroin and she look like she got a warrant for this and all of this, she has a reasonable expectation for me to protect her. Period. That's right. Not President Trump, that's not right. These coons in office, not the police department. She has a reasonable expectation. When I got her from her father had an expectation that she is in the company of a man that's going to protect her. So we can talk about all the legislation we want. Look, nobody likes the smell of blood. There's some veterans in here. Nobody likes the smell of blood. But I'll smell somebody else's before I smell hers. Period. I don't even care if she don't want me to get out the car and it goes down. If they put their hands on my woman, then it's my job to protect my woman from anything and anybody. You can come up with all of this legislation, all of this stuff, and when we talk about, well, we have to hit this from many fronts. This war has to be fought from many fronts, different angles. If you got balls, you need a gun. It's the bottom line. I don't care if finance is your thing. Then you're a warrior financier. If you grow stuff, then you're a warrior farmer. Nobody wants to go out there and get their asses shot off for nobody. But I'll be damned if I go. I'll do it for women and children all day long. But if you're a man, you're a warrior in that second. That's the bottom line. If you can't protect your woman, it ain't your woman. If the police can pull you over and snatch that woman out your car, and you keep your hands on the steering wheel like a good boy, like the last nigga that they did it to, and they sexually assaulted that woman for 10 minutes while he kept his hands on the steering wheel. Some of these sons got fathers that's getting killed. Some of these little girls and these women, they got fathers and brothers. Where are they? Right. Looking for legislation? Man, y'all know the real solution, man, and the real solution is bloodshed. Period. You touch one of ours, we touch one of yours. But if not 10 of yours. That's what stops it. When that bully takes your lunch money in school and you give it to him, you got to get it up next week and the week after that too. Until you plant one on his nose and he's gonna either want to be your friend or leave you alone. What makes y'all think these bullies are different? Everybody knows what time it is. It's time for the last to be first. Y'all think they're gonna give it to us? No, sir. So you can put on your little, you can get up here and give all your little speeches. I ain't talking about nobody on this. I'm just talking about so-called revolutionaries in general because I'm tired of it. I'm tired of people getting up here, giving our people a false dream. Y'all, it's gonna be blood. Y'all know that. We're not gonna get this without no blood. We're not gonna march our way out of it. We've been done marching already. We done marched from Alabama to DC. Come on now. Yes. Come on now. Where else you wanna go? Yes. There's only one way out of this, and some of us got to die to prove a point. It's just the way it is, man. And none of my guys want to do it. We just lost a man last night. Everybody's still here in uniform. We just lost a man last night, lost him dead. And we still got people here. We patrol the community every day looking for sex traffickers. If it's a vehicle in that community that don't belong there, a van and it looks suspect, we going inside that van. I don't care what nobody said. I'm not waiting for somebody who's making a salary with a badge to come and protect my sisters from getting kidnapped. Men have to be men. That's the solution. We talking about everything else. Just be a goddamn man. That's right. Be a man. Sister, stop laying up with these soft brothers. Yes, sir. If you don't feel protected by them, then you're not with a man. And however you feel about polygamy or anything else, I'd rather 3 sisters be with one solid man that's willing to lay his life. Lions do it. Lions do it. The punks don't get nothing in the wildlife. The ones with the broad shoulders willing to hold down their entire pride are the ones that get to reproduce. We got to stop hanging around these, so I don't care what kind of car he drives, how many degrees he got. Can he protect you? Can he make sure that your son becomes his age? If he can't, you need to leave him alone. That's it.
Okay, question. Wait. Before that, hold on. Because y'all are actually policing the block.
Absolutely.
So, what are some basic steps that people can do to get these block parties started, or to learn how to do them?
Since we go through, we knock on these doors. We tell the community, this is what we're here for. So a lot of people think we jump off doors. They think we police. And we tell them, we y'all police. Like over in the West End, not the West End, in the Bluff, for example, they had a serial rapist over there. They don't have him anymore. Don't worry about it. They don't have him anymore. They had every Tuesday and Thursday, you can look this up, they were kicking in the doors of the citizens over there doing no-knock raids on every Tuesday and Thursday. They don't do that no more. I don't need no legislation. You're not going up in these people's house, bro. We gonna see who the fastest motherfuckers out here with these guns. We train every day. Every day, my guys train. And on Sunday, we really get it in as a unit. So all we need is our people to say, it's not happening here. Take that shit somewhere else. But we don't. We take it. And we take it, and we take it, and we get up here and we give these big speeches that make the people clap, but we leave here with no solutions to this shit. The solution is train, and you don't have to be scared. Be prepared, you don't have to be better than them. These cameras here, man, I really want to say something, man. I really want, if y'all knew the very, very, very basic training that these pigs do, then you wouldn't be afraid of. They can't shoot. That's why they empty 16 magazines, 16 rounds, and they hit you 4 times. Yeah, exactly. It's a big difference. You can ask any better. It's a big difference from hearing pop, pop, pop. And when you hear them whistles, you'll piss yourself. They're not hearing them whistles. These white folks can shoot back at them and they still take them alive. What does that tell you about you? That's your natural enemy. Come on. That's your natural enemy. It is what it is, man. I don't care if you're spiritual. I don't care if you're Christian, whatever. That's your natural enemy. Anything hunting you is your natural enemy. That's right. And you can't win from running from it, because the only thing that's going to happen is he's slower, so they're going to catch him this time. Eventually, I'm going to be the next slowest one, and they're going to catch me too. So until we stand up and start fighting back collectively, giving them something to fear, it's always going to be police brutality. Marvin Gaye sung about it, Tupac sung about it, Etta James. I mean, you go back as far as since they made police. That's what they made them for. Slave patrols, absolutely. And we ain't nothing but some so-called free slaves. That's it.
How many people do you think that we actually need to get started on a block party?
Since we were met with a little bit of disdain when we first got down to the bluff. You know, it was expensive down there, but listen. If you're a man, as far as I'm concerned, my guys know this quote. If you're a man, then nothing wrong can happen around you. Period. Ain't nobody gonna be putting their hands on their sister. Ain't nobody gonna be beating these kids. The right thing has to happen, or you have to face real men. I'm a man of nature. I was watching the show one time where they on the Nature Channel where they found this nature reserve like 200 miles and so they put all these new animals on there to turn into a nature reserve. They dropped 15 adolescent elephants in there, and they went nuts, man. They stepping on crocodiles and knocking over trees. And they couldn't figure out what was wrong. They ended up testing the blood, testing the water, and couldn't find anything. And one of the elders over there told them, drop 5 adult bulls in there, and it'll straighten it out. So they did. They went and got 5 bulls, they dropped them in there. Finally, those 15, eventually the 15 and the 5 met up. The biggest one from the 15 stepped out, and I'd be damned if it wasn't the second smallest one from the adult stepped out. Put him on his ass 3 times, and they had no more problems out of it. They didn't have to send 15, 1 for 1. They just had a few real bulls that wasn't taking no shit and made them stand up and prove. How bad are you? Let's prove. We don't need a bunch, because every man ain't cut out for this. That's what we really saying up here. Everybody has their own man. Everything ain't cut out for it. That's what we really saying. Every man ain't cut out for the shit. So let's put him over here sewing clothes. Let's put him over here. That's what we really saying. Nobody wants to get shot. You know what I'm saying? Nobody wants to get shot. But I'm tired of hearing them screaming and crying. I'm tired of wondering, I'm tired of our youth wondering if they gonna make, how the hell we gonna survive if we can't get them to the age where they can defend us when we old? Right. We don't see that. We don't see what they doing. So until you put fear into your oppressor, then you will constantly be oppressed. That's just.
So you say 3 to 5 good men.
3 to 5 good men in any neighborhood that are solid. I'm talking about solid. You can't have fear. You can't have fear because the thing is, if you got right on your side, then everything wrong should be eliminated anyway. And that's the way me and my men look at it. If I got right on my side, if you molesting a little girl, and I remove you from people knowing you, I did her a favor, and I did a future girl a favor. We have to stop wrong things from happening. And that's why everybody do their own thing. What if he wants to do heroin in front of kids? And what if he wants to look at little girls on reset? And what if he wants to do this? We have to stop wrong things from happening. And it starts with us. And it extends to everything around us. Nobody, the black man or woman have been the only creatures on this planet that have given up their reasonable expectation to not be touched,
And a white person come get you, excuse me, I was here. And,
Right.
and they don't do it to each other, they just do it to us. When they can come, how many of y'all with dreads out there, white people, like, oh my God, I love your hair. Did we give up? We have nothing, man. We don't expect nothing. We don't expect no respect. We don't expect people to keep our hands off. They just grab us and drag us anywhere. And the first time a black man jump up and shoot back, oh, that nigga was crazy. That nigga was tired. I'm tired. They tired. She tired. I'm tired of black women. I'm tired of black women wondering, will there ever be, like, we so goddamn brainwashed that my sister wants justice. She wants people to go to jail for taking the life of her son.
Right.
We've reduced the meaning of justice to that shit. I won't ask, man. If you touch one of mine, and you can put this shit on BET, you touch one of mine, it's gonna be on goddamn Al Jazeera. I will have no mercy. No, there's no innocence in war. And when you bring that war to mine, I'm killing everything that fucking moves. Do them.
I want to make sure it's clear. This is not combating what you said, all right? And you first started off by saying you didn't want to do this because of the cameras. I feel you on that. This is in reaction, but also because of these cameras. See, these cameras will pin you against me, you against, and there's a respect. The only pushback, because I know you're a leader, brother. And honestly, one of my main mentors, Brother Deruba Ben Wahad, 19-year political prisoner, co-founder of the Black Liberation Army, first original Black Panther president out of New York City. You know, shout out to my homeboy Kalanji, Chamachanga. Like, I feel you more than you may know. I encourage you, brother, and everybody else up here. You said it. When you hold a free training, ain't nobody there. So if the objective is to win, I would encourage you with your beautiful service that you have and the way you got your brothers organized to, on a mass scale, if possible, encourage the training process first. Because if we don't, it's a slaughter. If we don't win. Everybody ain't cut out for it like you say, but there's several that just don't know how to get in contact, right? So I just want you to know that that's the, not who said something first, but yeah, it ain't monolithic. We can fight this thing on the outside and everything that means. And also the inside game. That might not be your thing, but we hitting them from all angles. And this is one other thing I want to say real quick. Being from the A. I'm 45, just turned 45. I've been in this thing since I was 30. Prior to that, I spent 30 months in federal prison, unjustly incarcerated, 13 of them in solitary confinement. I'm also a huge component and advocate for mass incarceration, prison industrial complex, prison pipeline, the whole nine. But I'm also from the A. I started out in this thing when I first came home. This is important because I don't work up under this guy anymore. Good friend of Pastor Brian. I started out as the founder and former president for National Action Network, Reverend Al Sharpton, responsible for putting the regional headquarters in the land of H. Rat Brown, right in the West End. I've since moved on from there and have my own organization, Save Ourselves. Why am I saying this? National Action Network didn't exist in Atlanta. This is the home of Dr. King, the home of Hosea, the home of Reverend Orange, the home of Dr. Lowry. Say that again. So it was almost a test run. I didn't know this then because I was real green. It was a test run because Sharpton represents the North. Here's where I'm going, because it's respect and unity. This is important because it's respect and unity. Because we can all talk this shit up here on this stage, but most of us will go our separate ways, and that's part of the problem. We doing the work, but we ain't connected. We doing the work, and truth be told, I could care less about a damn BET, no disrespect, no disrespect at all. Staged events bother me. Itinerary when it comes to salvation bothers me. BET will take these clips, they will slice it and dice it, and they will make it what they want. So that's why when you touch this mic and when you get in front of a damn camera, you better say it.
Now we acknowledge those people. I want to acknowledge Hashim, from the president of the new Black Panther Party, Hashim. This is Brother Hashim.
He's standing in front of the camera. Can I have you?
Oh, yeah. He did a year in prison for putting a threat out on George Zimmerman. So when you talk about you know, you want to do, you have to be willing to sacrifice. My mother was a political prisoner. His teacher, Dr. Khalid Muhammad, was also like an uncle figure to mine. Kwame Ture was someone like an uncle figure of mine. So these are people that actually sacrifice. So I just want to give him just a quick second because we are in the time frame, but just to share something.
Black Power.
Black Power.
First, I want to give honor to all the guests and the host. I just want to say that we are at a time where the time is gone. We are living in a no man's zone. And like brothers say, there's only one way to fix this. We all know what the white people did. We talk about BET. BET is owned by Viacom, the Jews. They don't have us on their agenda. Just want to say two things. Number one, action is the only course to take. That's what they're doing, taking action. Number two, they give you the 13th Amendment. And they give you the Second Amendment. Whenever people write 1, 2, 3, 4, one is more important. The Second Amendment is the right to bear arms. 13th Amendment is the right to vote. George Washington didn't give a damn about voting. He wanted to bear arms so he could control the people. I'm the national chairman of the new Black Panther Party. This is our 30-year anniversary. And when I met the Honorable Dr. Khalid Muhammad, I was a Christian. I believed in Jesus, and I believe in Jesus now, and nobody will ever take that from me.
Yes, sir.
I was just looking for me a strong pastor to be under, because even revolutionaries need guidance. And that's why I go to Newburgh, and I'm under Brother Jamal. Because I found somebody who understood what we were going through. And every once in a while, like brothers say, this stuff will make you lose your mind, because it's unexplainable trying to explain a beast. And sometimes you got to put it in perspective. Like he said, sometimes the beast just has to go. Yes. Right. And I just want to say this last thing. We've been all over this world for 30 years fighting this cause. But when them SWAT teams surrounded me, and they put me in jail, and they put me in the cab on 24-hour lockdown, and right now I'm standing here with 4th stage cancer, don't know if I'm going to live or die, still fighting. What in the hell are you waiting on? What the hell are you waiting on? I got a man of the cloth who the world is watching get in the pulpit every day and talk about our people surviving this mess. You got brothers like this. I got out of my bed when I heard this was going on to come and support this. Didn't bring no soldiers, don't need no soldiers. I got God with me. That's right. God is my protector. Can't no AK-47 protect me, but it can damn sure keep somebody off me. Black Power.
Thank you so much. I'm going to go on here to the audience for some questions. Everybody, please keep your responses under 1 minute, because we still have a lot that we have to cover.
Good evening. First of all, thank you all for doing this. At times like this, with all you young brothers and sisters up there that I respect, that guidance is what we need more than anything. And one thing that really kind of bothers me when we don't understand about history, because in the 60s, the father of modern black revolution was the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and all the black leaders went to him and they took guidance from him. Today we have the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, and I haven't heard one of you all even mention his name. And he speaks truth to power more than anybody presently. So my advice to us is, like our brothers in the 60s, H-Rap, Brown, Green Peter, all of them sat under the Honorable Elijah to get guidance. Guidance. He didn't try to change anything. At least they had enough understanding that he was in the forefront of understanding the time and what must be done. So my advice to us today, even this issue of Fountain Call newspaper, it deals with something happened 100 years ago. We brought about the Red Summer of 1919. If you don't read this paper, it offers guidance every week.
Yes,
but
sir.
sometimes we think we understand, but we don't understand this enemy. But Minister Farrakhan's been here through Jim Crow, he's fought through all of that, so he offers guidance to us all.
Yes, sir.
So my last statement is, we really want to do something. The awakened Dr. King came up with a solution to really bring this enemy to his knees. He said it doesn't have to do, we don't have to throw Molotov cocktails, we don't have to do, he said we do through economic withdrawal. Yeah. And one thing about us today, we will protest and bring highlight, but this generation ain't willing to go all the way to the end. He said money, economic withdrawal is what we can do to really destroy the enemy. So we call on all of us this Christmas. They make all of their money during those 3 months during the, starting with Thanksgiving. We saying economic withdrawal, we boycotting Christmas. Are we willing to go that far? Because most of us are not willing to go that far. It's going to disturb our conference. So that, my solution is, I suggest we look toward Minister Farrakhan for guidance and let us go forth what Dr. King said we must do in this day. Let's hit this enemy, bring him through his knees through economic withdrawal. We say we promote all around the country. Let us boycott this Christmas. And I guarantee you that will bring them to their knees.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
First of all, I just like, because the niggas gonna get still killed on Christmas. It was black folks out celebrating 4th of July. 4 black people got shot because the fireworks was too loud. One white boy said the fireworks was too loud. And he killed 4 black people on the 4th of July when they should have been celebrating in the first place.
Right.
So how does, like, not shopping, and how that won't stop? When this man comes up on my car with his gun pulled, there's only one thing that's gonna get him up off me. My little brother stood up and said, "You had, bro, I've had barrels standing in my face. I got 78 months in combat. I know how it feels to try to keep your composure when you got barrels in your face." But all it took was one nervous one to pull that trigger, and you wouldn't be here to tell that story. There's a different way for me to get him up off me. Don't get up on me, you don't have to worry about dying. Don't put my life in danger, you don't have to worry about dying. That's that old rule, eye for an eye. When do we get into all of these other solutions, man, that don't work? That's my thing. If we can stay on this, y'all. If we can stay on this. If what you're saying is in support of stopping these motherfuckers from killing us, then you are in line with what we're here to talk about. Anything else, man, y'all know if they give us reparations, we'll be broke in 2 years.
Right.
We'll be broke in 2 years and we'll be back worse than what we are now, y'all.
Come on, okay, hold on.
They gotta pay when they over.
So we have a question.
They gotta pay when they over.
Oh yeah, which is all the land, all of it, bro. Give it all to it. Because if they give, y'all know the kind of brothers I'm talking about. If they give everybody land, say they give every black person 40 acres, half of them gonna be done refinancing in a year to get the bread and all this. You know, white folks had that land back in 10 years. If you're gonna give it to us, you can't. I'm Native American, I'm Blackfoot Indian. You can't take all my land and give me a couple acres back. I want it all back. I might give you some if you understand the way that this is about to be, or if not, I'll take your life too. It doesn't matter. You took mine, you slaughtered my women and children, you beat my men down into oppression to where we now trying to use your legislation to stay live with it. Hey, she been want to say something.
Sean, go ahead.
You next. I got this person. I'm coming to you next.
First of all, I'd like to respect